All right. Hey, pre-calculus, let's go through our midterm exam here. So this is the practice test, and I will go through question by question. So I'll start with question number one. So question number one says 2r minus 4 over r minus 2. It says simplify the following expression. So what we need to do here is we need to go ahead and factor out anything we can from both the numerator and the denominator. So up top, 2r minus 4, we can factor out a 2. And if we divide 2r by 2, we're left with just r. If we divide 4 by 2, we're left with just 2, all over r minus 2. And so once we've factored out that 2 from the top, we can go ahead and simplify it. So r minus 2 in the numerator and denominator, they cancel out. Our final answer is just what we're left over with, which is 2, circled here. That's the answer for number one. It's just 2. Moving on to question 2 here, which says write the expression in radical form. We've got 7 raised to the 4/3. The way we rewrite that as a radical is cube root of 7 to the 4th. And you can go back to our rules about radicals if you're curious where that came from. Let's move down a little bit. Thanks for your patience here. This is a pretty low budget operation here, y'all. All right, so question 3 says simplify the rational expression. We've got 35x minus 35 over 25x minus 40. So we're going to go ahead and find the GCF, the greatest common factor, of both the numerator and the denominator. So in the numerator, we can divide out by 35, and we're left with x minus 1. So 35 times x minus 1. And in the denominator, the GCF of 25x and 40 is 5. So I can factor out or divide out by 5 for the denominator here. So I'm left with 5x minus 8. Okay, we're almost done here. As our final step, we need to go see what we can simplify. So I've got 35 over 5. That simplifies down. 35 divided by 5, well, that's just 7. So let's write our final answer. 7 times x minus 1 all over 5x minus 8. So that's going to be our final answer right there. Moving on to number 4, it says subtract and write the rational expression in its simplest form. In order to do this question, we need to have a common denominator. So whenever you're adding or subtracting rational expressions, you need that common denominator. This is going to come up a couple times in the next few questions, so you might as well learn how to do it here. The easiest way to find the common denominator is to take some information from both denominators here in our fractions. And so an easy common denominator that we can come up with is 4 times x minus 1. And so we can kind of bring a piece of both in here. So I'll start by taking my first fraction right here, and I'll multiply both the top and the bottom by 4. And when we do that, we can rewrite this fraction. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times x minus 1, we'll just leave that as 4 times x minus 1. That's going to be our common denominator we're going to use. So to get our other fraction here, I'll switch colors. Let's go for a black now. To get our other fraction to look like the denominator in this fraction, we're going to need to multiply the top and the bottom by x minus 1. So I'll multiply the top and the bottom by x minus 1. And what I'm left with is 5x times x minus 1 all over 4 times x minus 1. And so once you have that common denominator, in our case 4 times x minus 1, we're able to go ahead and look at the numerator now. So now we're looking up top, and let's go ahead and simplify this down. So I've got 24 minus 5x times x minus 1 all over our common denominator of 4 times x minus 1. So our final step here, in order to get our final answer, we're going to need to distribute this negative 5x into both of these two terms here. So that's what we're going to do to go ahead and finish this. And so I'm going to go ahead and erase the work and just keep working on this question here, question 4. So again, I'm just finishing up on question 4 here, y'all. Just needed more space. So I've got 24 minus 5x times x minus 1 all over, what I have, 4 times x minus 1. And so as I mentioned in the previous thing, we're going to go ahead and need to distribute this 5x. Let's do that quickly, and we'll write our final answer here. Okay, wonderful. And so now we have finished this up. 24 minus 5x squared plus 5x all over 4 times x minus 1. If you really wanted to be right, you might rewrite the numerator in standard form, but we'll leave it there for right now. Let's keep going. All right, let's take a look at question number 5 together here, y'all. So we're looking at question 5. So 5 says simplify the rational expression. And we've got a trinomial over a trinomial. Whenever y'all see a trinomial like that on your exam, I want you to think about using the x method and factoring. So let's write x method. Let's write our okay, so we're going to need to use our x method here. Remember, our x method says a times c up top, and then b on the bottom. And so we'll start by factoring the numerator here. A times c, well, that gives us negative 6. And then our b term in this case is 1. Okay, so I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to the top and add to the bottom. So two numbers that multiply to negative 6 and add to 1. Well, that is, let's see, positive 3 and negative 2. Yeah, that'll work out for us. Okay, so let's rewrite that. So our numerator here can be rewritten as x plus 3 times x minus 2. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and take care of our denominator. And so I'll just erase just a little bit here. Okay, cool. So our denominator, we'll use the same x method here. And so let's see, up top a times c. So I've got 15 up top and 8 in our denominator. And so I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to the top, 15, and add to the bottom. Let's try 3 and 5. That'll work out great for us. X plus 3 and x plus 5. Okay, we're almost done. We've done all the hard work. We've done the factoring. Our final step here is to see if anything cancels out. And I'm seeing something staring me right in the face. This x plus 3, notice it's in the numerator and the denominator. We can go ahead and cancel it out. And so our final answer, what we're left with, what I'm looking for you to write on your exam, is what I have circled in black here. X minus 2 over x plus 5. That's the correct answer. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so once you cross out x plus 3, you don't need to include it in your answer anymore. All right, let's move on to question number 6. And so question 6 says divide and write the rational expression in simplest form. Well, the way we do that is we need to remember that when we're dividing fractions, we do keep, change, flip. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. I've got keep, change, flip. All right, so start with there. Keep, change, flip when we're dealing with division. And so when I say keep, I mean keep this first fraction. We're not going to touch it. Change the division to multiplication. and then flip our final fraction. So we'll start with our keep change flip step. So now I've changed the division into multiplication, great, and I'm going to flip my final fraction so that v minus 10, that's going to go in the numerator, and the 1's going to go in the denominator. Now that we've done our keep change flip, we can see what cancels. And so again, something cancels if it's in the numerator and in the denominator. Let's look through here. Okay, I see v plus 8 and v plus 8. I see them in both the numerator and the denominator. Let's go ahead and cross that out, and cross that out. And then I also see v minus 10. It's in the numerator and the denominator here. That's great news. Let's cross that out. And so would you look at that? All we're left with is v minus 7 over 1. So v minus 7 over 1, anything over 1, that's just the same thing as what it is. So our final answer is v minus 7. That's what our final answer should be. All right, let's stop it right there. I'll make a new video starting at question number 7.